Hi, I'm Kelly, and today I'm going to talk to you about the user research class that I took this quarter. So, the class was all about user research, and it was a lot of hands on work focusing on one big project. And for me, I've had experience with user research in various realms, so I was very excited to learn a lot more. And so I've learned a little bit about user research in different classes I've taken, but I was very excited to be able to apply it more in depth in this class and to go deeper into the skill sets that would be needed from a user researcher to see if it was really something for me. Going into it, I was really excited, and the three methodologies that we were working with were observation, interviews, and surveys. I've had various experiences with each of these in a very informal way, so doing them more formally and with a lot more preparation and analysis was going to be very interesting, but also very daunting. So, my main topic that I chose was the Popular Communal Kitchen here at the University of Washington, and it is located in a residential hall where students can cook all their own meals instead of using the dining halls for their food. And I've had experience in this kitchen, and it's been hard to always use this, so I wanted to see what other people do when they're cooking in the kitchen, because it's a very non-traditional kitchen where you end up cooking with a lot of strangers, and you end up having to share the stovetop with other people that you may not be comfortable cooking around or even know how to manage to cook around them. So I thought it would be very interesting to see how other people tackle this challenge. Now, so my first methodology that I got practice with was field observations, and field observations for me were mainly basic observations where I sat at the back of the kitchen and I didn't have any interactions with the people using the kitchen, and I just watched them and took notes on them. And some things that I learned from my field observations was one of the negatives that I learned was I couldn't see any of the emotions of my participants because I was sitting behind them. And I think this impacted my overall research because I couldn't see how certain activities affected them. And also, having this be my first research methodology, I was very lost with all the information that I had gained from the field observations, and there was just so much that it took me a while to really collapse them into understandable information. But the best part about field observation is that it's all natural behavior. Nothing is made up and nothing is confused for acting because they don't know that I'm there and they can just be 100% themselves in what they do and what they want to do. So that was very helpful to just see how people acted in the kitchen without me saying anything. And for interviews, the interviews were very interesting because I got to learn more about people's experiences, and that gave me a lot more insight into what was happening in the kitchen aside from just the basic interactions that I was observing in the previous observations. And this was really helpful for me to understand. And so the interview process was interesting because I had to do a lot of preparation in the kind of questions that I want to ask them, the kind of flow of questions I wanted to ask them, and just see how that would overall affect them. And I was very prepared. I had all my questions ready, but the thing is that I did a lot of listening into their answers, and I would end up asking them questions based off their answers. And that was very helpful because I got to learn more in depth as to different things I wouldn't have thought about when I was creating my own questions, but sometimes that also made me stray away from my initial line of questions, and that always took a toll sometimes. But the good thing was I had asked all my participants if I could record them during the interviews, so that way I didn't have to take notes and I could just continue the conversation very naturally, and so they could share their information and share the experiences with me without much worry. And the last methodology was surveys. And with surveys, it helped me to just understand overall everybody's experiences instead of just a few individuals that I had observed and interviewed. And when it came to the surveys, it was based a lot on what I had learned from the observations and interviews. So the preparation that went into the survey was a lot. I went through multiple iterations when it came to the questions because there's multiple types of questions I could ask, and just understanding what deep information I wanted to learn in a 10 to 12 question survey was a challenge, and I had to understand what I needed to know. But one thing that I would definitely remind myself is that to understand how I'm going to analyze the data, because I did have a basic guideline of what I wanted to analyze after I got the information back, but I wasn't fully sure of myself. So after I had gotten the information back, I was still slightly confused as to how to use the information. But overall, the survey really helped me check my assumptions and check the information I had learned from the observations and interviews, and was allowed me to apply it to a broader range of people, which was very helpful in my research because I was able to understand the experiences that residents had in the kitchen in various ways. So the skills that I learned in this class will definitely help me in the future, because even though I may not be a user researcher, I haven't truly decided yet. It allowed me to learn more about myself, and also more about just general skills I would need in the workforce and in the professional field. Mainly approaching others. Generally, I'm very scared to approach others that I don't know, or for reasons that they may not know. So this really made me put myself out there with sending emails to people if they could do interviews with me and take surveys of mine. And then same with when it came to interviewing people, was setting up the interviews and just getting to know everybody. So this class has benefited me a lot in both the educational way and the professional